you, my friend?
There. I'm well, thank you. It's great to be back here in Richmond. I love Richmond. It's a great, great city. I got to tell you, the best food I've ever had.
There are some good ones here,
oh
isn't
my
it?
gosh, yeah.
No, absolutely. So like I said, we've done several of these dances over the years, but this is the first time I get one-on-one with you. So
Yes, I've been practicing the tango.
Right, okay. Well, whenever I have a solo guest, I always ask this question: what's the origin story? What drew you into becoming an actor, especially at such a young age as you did?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I'm convinced it's because I was the last of 6 children, and by the time my parents got to me, they were done parenting. So they sat me in front of a TV as far back as I can remember. I can remember back as probably 3 or 4 years old watching, you know, Saturday morning things like H.R. Puffin stuff. But growing up, I had my favorite shows. They were Get Smart and Tom Jones, or Tom Jones from England, as my mother would say, and the Flip Wilson Show. And
The devil made me do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Look out, killer. But as long as I remember, I always wanted to kind of go into the TV set. I always kind of wanted to exist in those worlds. In fact, when I found out that Maxwell Smart and 99 weren't really married in real life, I was devastated, right? But I just always knew that I wanted to be in TV. So probably about the age of 10, I got an agent and started doing commercials. I started out as a hand model.
Ooh. Still got
Take
it.
that, Michael Jackson. And from there, I went into on-camera commercials, and then voiceover wasn't really what I started out to do with my career.
No, you were in the trenches, yeah, the commercial stuff.
Lots of TV
pop
shows.
up and you pop up on the new classmate or the new friend for that episode.
I had my own series for 3.5 years on WTBS, Ted Turner's Superstation, called Safe at Home.
Yeah.
And then from there, I did summer school. And then from summer school, I was on Head of the Class and a bunch of other shows. But around 19...
Did it turn on that new well, it was that time, that revamp of the Munsters.
Oh,
Your
yeah,
recurring
I was
character.
on the New Munsters. I was Howie Buchanan, Marilyn's first love interest. I also had the distinction of being the very first person in the modern version to run through a wall and have my hair stand straight up when I saw the Munsters. And from there, I went on... Then there was a Writers Guild strike in around 1988 or so, and so work just ground to a halt. And I needed money, so my agent at the time had a voiceover department that wasn't part of their agency, but they shared an office. And I went over and I said, hey, I want to do voiceover. And they said, okay, well, you'll need a demo reel. And back then it was reel to reel. And yeah,
Take 2.
Exactly. And if you messed up on those takes, it was a big deal because they had to recue the tape. But I started doing radio commercials, a lot of radio commercials. And then from radio commercials, about 5 years in, I hit animation, and I've never looked back. Yeah,
absolutely. You tell us a little bit about working with Fred Willard on the sketch show.
Fred was great.
Or
Fred
sketch
was,
project,
yeah.
I should say, yeah.
So how did I meet Fred? Oh, I met Fred because his grandchild and my son went to preschool together. And Fred had done a guest spot on one of my animated shows years before, but I don't think he remembered me. But I became friends with them, and they thought I was very funny, so they invited me to join their sketch group called the Mohos. And Fred and I became fast friends, and we worked together for over 10 years, easily over 10 years. But we did our sketch shows once a month. We met every week to rehearse sketches and write sketches, and we did the Kimmel Show, the Tonight Show, the Golden Globes, and we did plays together up in Upland, and he was a really good guy. I remember that he used to come over to the house, and he would say, hey, I have a voiceover thing. Can I record at your house? And I'd say, yeah. And he'd come over, and he goes, well, what are you doing now? I said, well, I'm going to make some soup. And he goes, well, what kind of soup? I said, Campbell's Chicken Noodle. And he goes, oh, I love Campbell's Chicken Noodle. So we would sit there like 2 old men eating our Campbell's Chicken Noodle soup. So, yeah. He was a good guy, very generous.
Absolutely. Want to backtrack a little bit. All these years, never got a chance to talk about Power Rangers with you.
Aye.
Because whenever we do a Power Rangers panel, you're usually on like another panel with the Helluva Boss stuff,
Yes,
so we can never
yes.
tack you on to it.
Let's do a Helluva Rangers.
Yes. No, that'd be fun. But yeah, let's. How did that come about? What's been the takeaway from that over the years?
So the takeaway was that it was probably during that period, after the Writers Guild strike, where I needed money. And one night at literally 9 o'clock at night, I get a call from a friend of mine who was an off-bay editing site. He was an editor. And he goes, hey, there's this guy, and I'm in this little editing bay in Toluca Lake, California. And he just bought this really horrible show for like $10 million. It's awful, but they need the voice of a robot. And I said, as a temp track. And I said, well, I got a friend that could do it. And they'll pay you $50. So I said, sure. And I go down to this little offline edit bay, and they had this screen up, and there's Alpha. And I just go, Sordon, there's trouble in Angel Grove. And Hayam Saban stands up and he goes, yes, he will be our Alpha. We don't have to spend money to process his voice, and we can do it quickly. He is Alpha. So that's how I got Alpha. That was it.
There you go. the part of Power Ranger history.
Power Ranger history. There's the lore.
Yeah, pretty much about that too. You've been I think you're. I don't know if you took a break from it, but last time I said you were still teaching when you got a chance to.
So right now I'm teaching weekend workshops. I mean, prior to that, I had a lot of time to teach like individual coaching and produce demos, and I still produce demos and I teach the weekend workshops. But because my schedule is so packed with Has-Been and Helluva directing both those shows, it like dominates my time. So literally, last year I did, I think, 34 conventions. So I would be gone from Thursday.
17 were ours.
Yeah, 17 were yours. I'd be gone Thursday to Sunday. Monday to Wednesday, I'd be directing one or the other or both at the same time. So that's been my life for about 7 years, believe it or not. The Helluverse has been around for 7 years now.
Yeah. Get to Helluverse in a second. Always been curious about this. Voice actors who teach, I always ask this. What's the first lesson?
That it's the acting part of voice acting that is more important than how many voices you can do. Because I'm a living example of that. Meaning, it's me in every single show I do because I have a very distinctive voice. So some people would say, oh, he only has one voice, so he can only do one show. But years ago, I went and I thought to myself, wait a minute. I go to see Robert De Niro in every single movie he ever does, for the most part. And you could argue that Robert De Niro is the same in, Goodfellas as he is in Casino, as he is in The Irishman, and we still follow him into those stories. And it occurred to me after I studied with this brilliant mentor of mine named Diana Castle that the minute you realize that story is more important than performance, it all clicks. Because you'll follow me into these worlds, even though it's my voice, Much like you would follow, Gilbert Gottfried into any one of his shows when he was with us, because you knew it was Gilbert Gottfried, but you still followed him into those shows. So that just solidified my belief that story is more important than the voice, and that the acting is the most important thing.
And how did being on the opposite side of the glass for Helluva Boss come about?
So that's an interesting one. So Viv Medrano, Vivzy Pop, had a huge following online. She had so many subscribers, and I didn't really know anything about this thing called the interweb. Have you ever heard of this interweb?
I saw a listing in TV Guide about it. Yeah.
And so one day she approached my agent and said, "Hey, I've got this show, and I've been a big fan of Richard's. I grew up watching Invader Zim, and I've got this character for this show I want to do, and would Richard be interested in doing it?" And she didn't think I would because of the subject or the content and the sex and the violence and everything. Like, oh no, that's my life. But But I met Viv, and I really loved her, and I loved her art, and I loved her story, and I loved her storytelling. And I said, yeah, I'm going to hitch my wagon to this cart. So the one thing for me was I had two things. One, it was a YouTube show to start out with, and I'd never done a YouTube show. So I said I would do it if they did it union, which she did. The company went union for everyone, so that allowed us to get everybody in our Helluverse and then some. And the other thing was that I wanted to make sure that I had some control over like who was directing me. So I said I would love to do it, but I would love to direct it. And the reason Viv immediately said yes is because Viv took my voiceover workshop before we ever did any of that. So yeah, so that's how I ended up directing it. And then when Has-Been came along, because Has-Been had done a pilot, a different pilot that was big. And she had invited me to see the premiere of the original pilot she had done, not the current incarnation. And I had to cancel last minute, but what I didn't realize was I had never even worked at her, yet she did a special thank you to me in the credits. Yeah. So, and then when I found out that I got to sing in the show, because I'm a Broadway baby, born and raised, so, yeah.
Just what a wonderfully curated cast. I mean, just
Without a doubt.
Absolutely. And again, just going to some alternate sources, talent-wise, and stuff like that, and pulling some folks. So I think, again,
I think Broadway actors, in particular, are made for animation. Ah! I didn't do that.
that was...
Who messed up this stage? Who are you? I thought that Broadway actors in general are made for Broadway because they're very expressive. This coffee was from 11 a.m. this morning. Still drinking it. My dad would make a pot of coffee and drink it all day long.
I would rather have a room temperature coffee than room temperature soda.
Oh, by far, any day. Yeah, well, because, yeah, absolutely. Although if you go to Europe, you have to ask for ice, and they look at you like you're crazy for putting ice in your soda. I was in Romania for 3 months, and it was warm. It was just warm. Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much for indulging my capricious curiosity. And on behalf of myself, everybody else, before I jump out there and take their questions, my friend, thank you. Thank you for your talents. Thank you for your professionalism. Thank you for all these performances you've done, man.
Am I blushing? I'm usually blushing.
Because you just...
I've known Patty for how many years now?
It's about 8 years now, something like that.
No, it's got to be longer than that.
No, I think it's about right.
About 8?
Yeah, when we're
well,
all...
You're 10 years old now, so yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
okay, that way too. Hey, at least I'm not... Yeah, when I was a kid, saw you in summer school, and now I'm like...
I don't know if there's anyone out there that remembers summer school. Anyone? Anyone ever see the movie Summer School?
Oh, see the movie Summer School. You will laugh.
Mark Harmon, Kirstie Alley, directed by Carl Reiner, and I'm in it. I play a nerd. It was a stretch. It's a stretch. Thanks. Yeah.
It's a funny movie, yeah, way too. So. All right, let me see what these fine folks have. Okay. Get my question candy here. Oh, I don't need candy. Oh, no, that's fine. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, Patty. My name's Jenny. Hi, Richard. I've got your autograph.
Hi, Jenny.
Yeah.
How are you?
I am very good, thank you. Especially because I got to meet you.
Yay!
My question is, hypothetically, had Crimson not definitely murdered Moxxie's mom, because that wasn't a female imp in that boat, and it's just a shoot, who cares about that? How would she feel about current developments soon to be in Moxxie's life? Would she be happy that her baby is off, doing whatever?
Well, I would have to assume so. Yeah, I would have to assume so. But I don't know. I mean, because do we know that Moxxie's mom was, we don't know. We can assume, but even Viv hasn't shared that with me. So, yeah, so I would assume that she would be happy because, like, Moxxie's earnestness had to come from somewhere, right? I mean, some people don't realize is that Moxxie's hellborn. So he was born into hell. It wasn't like he ended up like in Has-Been. They all ended up in hell, with the exception of Charlie. But yeah, same thing. I think she'd be pretty happy.
She might disagree with the killing, but I think she'd be happy with otherwise how he turned
Yeah,
out.
she wasn't happy with the killing at all.
Thank you, Richard.
No, thank you. Great one to start us off with. Hello, what's your name?
My name is Brendan. Hey, Mr. Horvitz.
Hi, Brendan.
I met you last year before.
Yes, I was here last year. It's my 3rd year at GalaxyCon Richmond. Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's always great to be here. Yeah.
Well, first of all, before I get to my question, I'll say as Billy, destroy us all! Destroy us all!
I'll take the
Destroy
chicken.
us all. I'll take the chicken.
Yay.
Destroy us all. All right.
That's very good.
But
Don't take my job.
But anyways, so if Invader Zim and Hazma Hotel were to do a crossover episode, what would you want the plot to be about, and what would Zim and Moxxie's reactions be if they met?
Zim would be like, and Moxxie would be, And let's face it, I think in our universe, Blitz is more of the Zim in our universe, right? But if there were a crossover, I think that Zim already feels like he's in hell on Earth anyway, so I don't think it would be that big a deal for him.
Yeah. Fun one. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
It's Anya. Hi.
Hi.
So, who is your favorite person to work with, or your favorite voice actor on the set of Helluva Boss?
My favorite on the set of Helluva Boss is really hard because I love them all so much. There's not one of them that I would not want to work with. I have a real affinity for, all of them, really. I mean, I have an affinity for, Brandon and I are very close. I've done a lot of his videos. I do things with Brandon all the time. Of course, Vivian is Millie. We're very close. I mean, we are like a family because, like I said, we've been on the road together more often than we've been in the booth together. So we're like a family. But that includes everyone in the Helluverse because also the cast of Has Been I'm very tight with. I particularly have a really warm feelings for Alex Brightman and Christian Borle. I really love those two a lot. I love everyone, but I really, really have a lot of fun with them as well. Yeah, that's a good question.
Great question. Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Kai. I wanted to know what it was like working on Helluva Boss.
So Helluva Boss was a lot of fun because when we first started out, it was a pilot like any other show, and we had a couple of different cast members back then. The storylines changed a little bit since we started. I know that we started out as a mission-driven show that we are making up for in our shorts. So while we're waiting for the rest of season 3 to come out, we do the shorts to keep the mission part of our story alive. But working on it has been amazing. I work hand in hand with Vivian Medrano. She and I are always in sync. We direct together, so we'll both at the same time when we hear the take that's the best, we'll go nice at the same time. So it's a great experience. It literally is my life. I mean, it literally is my life. Pretty much, there's not a day that goes by that there's not a text from someone on production saying, hey, are you available today for this session and this session? It's a tough show to direct in that, not in the writing or the acting, but both shows are tough because in the usual animation world, we have 4 main characters that do all the voices. So it makes it easy to schedule a certain day, certain time every week till the season's done. So in other words, Invader Zim, we would record on Tuesdays, and we would do a 9 to 12 record, and we'd get the whole episode done in that time. But on Helluva Boss and Has Been, we've got so many characters on that show, and Viv has a tendency to hire more actors. And so more actors means more scheduling. And half our cast is in New York and half our cast is in LA, so that's a time difference. So literally, we could, I'll give you a perfect example. We could do a season of Invader Zim, which is basically, we did 27 half hours, which is usually 2 11 minutes per And we could do that in like maybe 2 months. We could finish that. We've been recording the current seasons of both shows since probably September of last year, and we're still not done. So it takes a long time. Mainly because everyone's got other jobs and schedules, and we have some people that are in Europe that we have to record. So I have literally recorded people like Mammon in Helluva Boss is in Australia. So it's going to be one or the other of us is going to be up at a very late hour or working very late. So I had to work like from 9 to midnight one night recording the Australian actors. So it's a lot of work, but it's fun.
That's good. Great one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Jazz.
Hi, Jazz. I know Jazz.
Hi, Mr. Rico Benet.
Hi, Jazz.
So, obviously, with Angry Beavers, The Amazing Morphin Power Rangers, Billy and Mandy, Invader Zim.
Thank you.
There's so many shows that you've done. Is there any that you wish, like, obviously we got the movie reboot of Zim back in 2019, but is there any that you'd be, like, super excited to, once Helluva Boss and Has Been have dwindled down a little bit to bring back?
Yeah, I would like to see Invader Zim come back just because it wasn't done. It was cut short abruptly, way too abruptly. That said, there are certain things that I love about each show. So, like Angry Beavers, I love because it was my first full, domestic animation, Western domestic animation. I had done a lot of anime prior to that. But with Angry Beavers, it was my first one that I got to improvise. And working with Nick Bakay, just the two of us, was always a blast. Billy and Mandy, I got to improvise up a storm and write for the show. So I would like to do that again. And I did kind of get the chance. I did kind of get a little closure on Zim and Billy and Mandy. Zim we did the Florpus movie, but that was not like people say, oh, that was a great conclusion to the series, but it really wasn't a conclusion to the series. It was just another giant episode. Billy and Mandy, I don't know if any of you watched Jellystone, but Jellystone on HBO had a final episode like 2 years ago now that consisted of all of the Cartoon Network and Hanna-Barbera characters. So Billy...
There's a real crisis on Infinite Earths of Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, exactly. And Billy was one of the prominent characters in that episode. So I got to do Billy with Gray and Greg, so we got to do that. But I also got to do Squirrel Boy, which was just kind of a nod to a one-season show that I did with Pamela Adlon and Kurtwood Smith, which was a lot of fun. But if I had to choose one of them, I don't think I could because I have so much fun with all of them,
Cool. Good one. Thank you.
Yes, good question, Jazz.
Hi, what's your name?
Faith, very nice to meet you.
Hi, Faith. Nice to meet you.
I have a hell of a race question. So when Millie and Moxxie start having little imp babies, do you think we can get an M name with a double letter like Millie and Moxxie, like something along that line?
I never thought about that. I don't know. I have no say in my own child's naming, but I can think of it like Morrison. Morrison has 2 R's, right? Morrison. What are you thinking?
A little bit better than Morrison.
What are you thinking?
I have no idea.
Aha! Then you step it up. So you mean not we can step it up, you mean I can step it up. Lexi. It's got L and the X's.
Huh. Okay. I buy that.
Sure.
Good one. Thank you. Of course.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Tay. So similar to someone else's question, what would happen if IMP was hired to kill Zim?
Oh, it would never happen. It would never happen because well, here's the thing. Moxxie is a sharpshooter, so he's very skilled at that. But Zim has all the technology, The problem is that the imps are really hard to kill. Like, remember the first episode? But I don't think they would succeed at it because somehow Gur would mess up their plan. Gur always messes it up. Gur is a lot like Billy. Every show has a Gur-type character, in my opinion. Ours, in Has-Been, is Nifty. Yeah. Nifty very much reminds me of Daggett from the Angry Beavers because Nifty does that same thing, right? So Nifty is kind of our Gur in has-been. In Helluva, do we have a Gur-esque character? That's an interesting question. You know, I do like, I like Wally Wackford is kind of, but he's not that. You know what? I'm going to have to come up with a Gur-type character for that show. Thank you for that.
Someone out here said Blitzo.
Well, Blitzo's a little bit smarter and deeper than Gur. Gur is like, I was the turkey all along. Whereas you see those scenes with Blitz and Stolas, you would never see that with Gur and anybody. And I don't ship Zim. That's one thing we do not like is Zim ships. Never like the Zim ships, but it's a good question.
Good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Come on.
Hi. It's
Hey.
Sawyer, everybody.
Hey, Sawyer. Hey, Sawyer, what you got?
So you mentioned earlier that you were a fan of Broadway, and I know
Yes.
we recently got to see a bit of you in the Has Been Broadway special.
Yes. Thank
Are
you.
there any particular Broadway shows or roles that you would like to see yourself in at any point?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to be the king in Hamilton. But I really would love to perform the role of Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar. That is like my dream. Most of the ones that I would be character right for are probably not my favorite roles, whereas like I would love to play Valjean, you know, in Les Mis. But Judas and Jesus, I would also like to play Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar. I think those would be my favorite. Although
For some reason, I pegged you as a Godspell guy. I don't know why.
No, I'm a Jesus Christ Superstar guy, born and raised, my favorite all-time musical. But I can tell you who I would be cast as in one of two roles in three roles. Three roles in Jesus Christ Superstar. They would go, no, you're more right for this. The first is, so you are the Christ, you're the great Jesus Christ. Prove to me that you're no fool. Walk across my swimming pool. Or it would be, the other one is, we've been sitting on the phone for a while too long. Why let him upset you? Caiaphas, let him be. All these imbeciles will see he really doesn't matter. Right? I'd be Annas. I could be Annas. And, of course, who is this unfortunate cluttering up my hallway? I could be, Pilate. Pilate would be a...
Good. Great question.
Although I
Thank
could
you.
do Zim as Pilate, and it would be like, who is this unfortunate cluttering up my hallway?
Hey, what's your name?
My name is Ray, and I used to watch Billy and Mandy when I was too young to understand the jokes, but I just heard the funny voice and laughed.
Oh,
so
thank you.
I got a you question.
Okay, I like a you question.
What is a character when after you voiced them, you go back and watch it yourself, and you were which character were you the most impressed with yourself with? Like, yeah, I did that.
Zim without a doubt, because Zim, I would go into another world in Zim. You'd have to bring me back, because that's why Zim is so off the wall with some of the reads. Billy also was like, I disappear into my characters, I call it, where you gotta call cut on me and bring me back. And there's like probably hours and hours of outtakes where I've just gone off on a, one of my favorite stories about that is we were doing Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure. And I read the script, I absolutely loved it, and I said, oh, Billy sings this song, Scario. And so I'm like, wow, I'm digging on this song. Scario, Scario, I'm scared but not very though. Scary, scary, Scario, I'm not scared from my head to toe. Well, I guess I'm scared a little, but anyway. It gets to the break in the song, and it says that Billy sings like this hairband guy. I'm not scared, right? And so I'm like, oh, wow, I can't wait to do that. So I got to the studio that day that we were going to record that episode and that song, and I see that they've hired a 80s hairband singer to sing the break. I'm like, whoa. And I said, I thought I was going to get to do that. They go, well, we thought it would be funny if Billy like sounded like us, like, oh, okay. I go, well, can I have a shot? And they go, okay, well, if there's time before lunch, you can take a stab at it. I'm like, great. So we are going overtime. We're going overtime, and now we're like past lunch, and we're all hungry. We're all starving, and they go, okay, let's break for lunch. I go, wait. You said I could try. I go, okay, fine. Let him try it. So we get to that part where it goes, I'm not scared. And I just improvise this. I'm just really, really hungry. I want a sandwich. And that's what's in the movie, because Maxwell Adams said, yep, that's more Billy. So, yeah. The poor guy that thought he was going to have this gig, he still got paid, but sorry. It's my show.
Great one. Thank you. All right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got a few
There's
minutes
another,
left, but
there's another line.
Yeah, I've closed up the line, so we'll take care of everybody in line right now. So
There's
come on
another
up.
line from Invader Zim that I improvised, which is one I'm very proud of, and that I forgot that I had improvised it. But Ricky Simons had to remind me, yeah, you improvised that. It's in the Florpus movie where Zim is chasing Dib over the planets. And Zim says, you're ugly when you lie, Dib. That was the whole line. And Andy, who plays Dib, goes, I'm not lying. And then I said, then why are you ugly? That was mine.
Hey, what's your name?
I'm Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca.
I was wondering, for working on Zim, what was your favorite part of his characterization that you enjoyed as a whole?
I liked his overestimation of his abilities, because everything he was like, yes, sir. That was my favorite thing about Zim, that he always just had this over exaggerated opinion of himself. I think that's what made Zim really interesting. That was my favorite thing. There's always a favorite moment of mine. It was during the selling of the candy bars episode with the poop dog. And Zim becomes so competitive because Zim's competitive. I'm fairly competitive by nature. And it would be like, it was like the scene where it's like, well, girl, one more candy bar and we will beat this poop dog. And Gurr has just been eating all the candy bars. And he goes, yay! And he just throws up all the sawdust. That's my favorite part about Zim, is the randomness. Everything is so random in our humor. Yeah, thank you.
Great one. Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
My name's Kaylin.
Hi, Kaylin.
Hi, Richard.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
It's absolutely fantastic having you here from your
Thank
newer
you.
work all the way back to your beginning. And
Thank
my,
you.
My question is for you, as a 90s baby. I grew up hitting the TV trying to get to work just to watch your shows come on at 4 o'clock every day.
Yay!
How does it feel to have such a huge generational following from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, all the way up to today?
You know, it's funny. I've had this conversation before with friends, because what makes it great is that I think the hardest part in this industry in general is to stay relevant, is to find that next thing. And people always ask me, how did you get where you got? And I said, I didn't plan to get where I got. I just tried to keep working. And so what happens is, what's great is that if you last long enough, if you're like one of the last men standing or last person standing, you accumulate a generational thing. So some people might go, that's not Zim, that's chaos. So I got the Zim people, then I got the chaos people, and the people who had watched Angry Beavers are now parents themselves, as are Zim people, and they're raising their kids on my stuff. So I'm so honored that I can still come back after 30 some odd years doing this. And people are just discovering Zim because they discovered Helluva Boss. What's he in? Oh, that's not Moxxie, that's Zim. What's Zim, Dad? And then they show them Zim. And so it's like, wow, that's nice. That feels really comforting in my old age. Yeah.
Great.
Thank
you very much. One of you. Hey, come up. Hey, what's your name?
Joshua.
Hi, Joshua.
Pleasure. With the rise of adult animation like has been, and so if they were to remake Zim or bring back Zim today, do you think that it would take on a more adult theme like has been?
Absolutely. I think that Zim was meant to be darker. We got in trouble for how dark we tried to be. Even like with Dark Harvest, we got so much flack for that. We got letters like you wouldn't believe because, in all honesty, I'm grateful to Nickelodeon because they've kept me employed for so many years. But at the same time, we were not the demographic at Nickelodeon. Zim wasn't for the right demographic. The demographic at Nickelodeon at the time was like 6 to 10, you know? Whereas our show is pretty much 13 to adult is really where it is. And if Zim were to come back, I would think it would be darker because there's just so much more we can do with that angle. And some of our best episodes are the darker ones, you know? But yeah, I'd like to see it in a more, maybe a little bit more adult fashion. That said, independent animation is where animation is right now. So that's another reason I jumped on the Helluva has-been wagon, because independent animation is where things are at.
Right on. Good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, what's your name?
I'm Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Hi. Between Daggett, Zim, and Billy, who do you think is the dumbest of the three?
I'm going to have to go Billy. Billy is the dumbest. Zim is just overconfident, and Daggett is just angry, and so when you're angry, you're impetuous and impulsive. And I think that Daggett just made stupid, impulsive things. My ultimate favorite line ever of maybe one of my favorite all-time things ever is the episode of Big Bunny with Daggett where the bunny is threatening them. And at the end, the thing is that whoever came on the show, me, Richard, would always start imitating them, so Daggett started imitating. So by the end of that episode, Daggett was talking like Big Bunny. What'd you do it for, Bunny? What'd you do it for? And Norbert says, we would have been your friend if you had just asked us. And the bunny says, well, you're just saying that because you want me to feel better. And Daggett just goes, yeah, so? That's me in a nutshell. Yeah, so? So that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it, Eric.
That works. Hi.
Slur, 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 slur.
Hey, what's your name?
Christy.
Hi, Christy. That's Christ with a Y.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So if you could build your own vacation home in hell, what ring would you choose?
Greed. Because and I can have the biggest house in the world with as much as I want and not feel guilty about it. Although Blitz would choose lust, I'm sure.
Good. And all right, bring us home. What you got?
Hi, I'm Sam.
Hi,
I
Sam.
was wondering, outside of the script, if there's anything specific that influences how you portray your characters.
Well, outside of this, well, yeah, in the early years, yeah, in the early years of like Angry Beavers, Lou Costello of Abbott and Costello and Don Adams of Get Smart are very much in there in Daggett. Zim was just something that came out of Jonan's and my head together, because Jonan will be the first to tell you that I'm not exactly what he had envisioned, but what I brought to it, Jonan laughed at and goes, yeah, let's do that. So the only thing that ever really, like, besides the script inspires me or brings to it is just fun. Because if we're laughing, I think you're going to be laughing. And we're in a dark room making each other laugh. So we never know who's going to respond to it. But if we're making each other laugh, usually that makes others laugh. So that's the way. But influence-wise, that's the only one I can really ever point to is anything that's like Gilligan or Get Smart. There's like bumbling idiots always inspire me because I'm like that. I'm a bumbling idiot.
Thank you. Great one. What's coming up? Anything project-wise you're allowed to share with us?
Let's see. Yeah, I've got some stuff coming up in Hearthstone. If you play the Hearthstone game, I've got a lot of those things coming up. World of Warcraft, I still do a lot of. Loud House, I've got a new character coming out in Loud House. And Helluva and Has-Been. Helluva Season 3 will be out this year. So I'm looking forward to that. Has-Been, you know, I've got a couple of Has-Beens here with me this weekend that is always fun to work with them. I'd love to see more like Broadway performances with Helluva, you know, maybe Helluva doing something. But no one asked me. And just, the usual. Just the usual. Lots of conventions, lots of shows, just taking my time.
Well, my friend, your usual is the delight and entertainment of very many. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, my friends.
One final question?
Yes.
You want to take a picture with this audience?
Sure.
All right, everybody, coming up towards the stage, not on the stage. Take 5.